Hi everyone, welcome to our Warhammer 3 tier list, where today we are looking at the lords and heroes of Khorne, the Skull Takers. Quite literally, Khorne's favorite people at this point. Just like the rest of our tier list, at the very top, we got one-man army. This basically means that the lord or hero can fight an entire army basically by himself. A tier, you want to prioritize recruiting him over the other lords and heroes. B tier, they hit above their weight class. C tier to do exactly as expected. D tier they underperform, and we have cowards, which pretty much means don't recruit them. They're going to do very badly for Khorne, anyways. And just a quick reminder, if you want to look at the unit Khorne tier list that's up on the channel already, so go check that out as well. The first character on our list is the Blood Speaker. He is basically the cultist of Khorne Lord variant. Best way I could describe him is that he's basically the Empire's version of a warrior priest. He does a lot of army buffing and path and gives passives and debuffs around. Uh, I would say he's a kind of an okay fighter when it comes to Khorne units. I'm gonna throw him in C tier. He does exactly what he needs to. He does have some really good abilities and passes. And we want to look at him here. I do also really like his model. I think they did a pretty good job with it. But so he does get 5% ward save for some odd reason. I don't know. It's just this campaign. It might be. He does get frenzy, which is really nice to have. Murderous as towards. I can't say that word. Basically, just a damage per second and minus leadership for all enemies within range. Wild Abandon, melee attack plus 40, melee defense minus 24, and cannot die. And then he has a heal for units that hurts himself in the process. And I gotta be honest, this is actually not really good late game, especially when he takes like a lot of damage. I wouldn't particularly use this unless I was trying to save a bloodthirster, because it's 72 to 144 damage per second for 10 seconds. So just kind of keep that in mind. If not, I would put a bunch of regenning stuff on him to kind of counteract that. And a lot of you guys kind of said in the past Warhammer 3 tier list videos for the Lord to Heroes that I don't go over the red, blue, or yellow skill trees. And the reason why I really don't is because they're all kind of the same. And to me, it doesn't sway a character up higher or lower than the others unless if it's a unique yellow or a unique blue. But I kind of just go over this one, for instance, because I think this one's kind of unique for Khorne's faction anyways, is that every yellow skill gives them weapon strength. Everything. Which makes Khorne's lords and heroes hit really, really hard, even at low levels. Like, oh, he needs some melee defense? We'll give him 3% weapon strength, and it just stacks. So, like, even if you don't put a weapon item on him, he doesn't really need it. He does get a Chaos Steed. He gets a Chaos Warshine as well, which I will say he's going to need an escort if you want to do the Chaos Warshine. It is really good to have. But you got other characters that can also use it as well. I wouldn't really put it on your Lord, so to say, much like the vampire accounts. He does get a Blood God's Vigor, which is just more movement after sacking or winning a battle. He has Lead the Worthy, which is upkeep minus 15% for Skull Reapers and Wrathmonger units for his army, and then Weapon Strength plus 20% for them as well. It's really, really good. The only issue is these are kind of late game units, so you're not going to really see this for a while. He has Ardent Pilgrimage, campaign movement range plus 10%, and figure reduction minus 25% for his army. Bountiful Pilgrimage, 20% income from post-battle route, and he gets a figure per second minus 1%, and Unbreakable for all allies in range for 21 seconds, which, it's actually pretty good. You can kind of sway a battle in your favor if it's going really bad. Passive, he gets a Gruesome Display passive ability, which is leadership minus 4, melee attack minus 5 for all enemies in range, and he causes fear as well. Demonic Imprint gets Strider for his army, split 15% speed for his army, and armor piercing weapon damage plus 2 for his army. Meditation for Carnage, control +4 for the local province. Khorne's corruption +4 for province, and physical resistance 10%. And then Dark Tutor, which just increases the effect duration by 100% for Pilgrimage and Wild Abandon, and he gets a Gate of Khorne, which just summons Bloodletters. It only has one use though, and it's kind of weird because the cultists, I think, could get up to 2 or 3 uses, so it's kind of weird he only gets one. Next is the Herald of Khorne, and I would say just much like the Bloodletters, he is somewhat of a glass cannon, but he's extremely good at dueling. He's okay at fighting in a swarm. However, like I said, you can kind of dwindle him down quite easily. I would say his weakness is probably range, but I would definitely say he's a B tier generic lord for sure. And to kind of look at his items here, he does get a Hellblade passive, so when he gets more than 80 kills, he gets 20% weapon damage and 20% AP as well. He does get a bonus versus infantry, armor piercing, flaming attacks, and magical attacks. So he is quite a good duelist. Since he's demonic, he does get 20% physical resistance. I believe that's tied to his winds of magic, so just be aware of that. I believe. I could be completely wrong in that regard. Standard yellow, standard red, standard blue line. He does get Lord of War, replenishes 5% campaign movement range after winning a battle and causes terror. You get one of the 3 options. So you get the Locus of Abjuration, which is just a 65% spell resistance for all the allies in range. Locus of Fury, which is a charge bonus, 40% base weapon damage, 25%, AP 25% for all allies in range. And Locus of Wrath, which is melee attack plus 40 for all allies in range. Generally speaking, I like Locus of Fury because it's a good opener in a fight. And Locus of Wrath is also pretty good as well, but I want more weapon damage. And personally, this is really situational. You can only choose one of the 3. He also does get a Greater Locust, which just has the effect duration 100% for all the Locust abilities. And he does have another choose one of the above options. So you got the Harvest Skulls, which is upkeep minus 5% for his Lord's army. Magic item drop chance 10%, and skulls gained from kills 15%. Or he can get Blazing Skulls, which adds the flammable effect, reducing fire resistance, and gives him the passive Hungering Blades, which is the direct upgrade to Hellblade. So it only takes 40 kills, and he gets 20% weapon, 20% AP, and 5 melee attack. And then Exalted Ken, which is just buffing the Bloodletter units in his army. So melee attack plus 5, charge bonus plus 10, and unit experience plus 25% for Bloodletters, Exalted, Renown, and then the Blood Crushers. Generally speaking, I would say go for Blazing Blade. I mean, I usually don't like flaming attacks, but this makes it so they're a little bit weaker to the flame attacks. He does get a Juggernaut, which I would argue is probably his personal best mount. Makes him really tanky, gives him speed. He doesn't really get stuck on units because he's also really thick. He does get a Blood Throne, which is the Chaos Warshine variant, so it just gives him Gore Feast, which is healing while in combat, and then I believe it also buffs his units around him as well. But it does kind of make it a little bit bigger of a target, so just kind of be aware. I usually would run one Juggernaut and one in a Blood Throne. For heroes anyways. Lords, I just kind of keep the Juggernaut because, you want your Lord to survive. Next is the Chaos Lord of Khorne, and this guy is kind of a nightmare to fight against. He's very, very tanky, but he's very, very slow, and he hits quite hard. You can kind of blob this guy down a little bit easier than his demonic variant, but I definitely think he's a B tier. Although I think the Herald is probably a slightly better variant, depending how you want to play, of course. And look at the Chaos Lord of Khorne abilities. He does get Frenzy because Khorne loves Frenzy. He does get Rage as well. I had to double check to make sure that wasn't a trait. So physical resistance up to 10%, leadership up to 8, melee attack up to 5 for time spent engaged in melee. So he does get a slightly different yellow line. Whether or not that the bugger feature, who knows? So he doesn't get like bonus melee a weapon strength on every upgrade. It's just like your standard yellow line that we've seen pretty much across every other lord. Standard red line, standard blue line. He can get a Skull Crusher, sorry, which has melee attack plus 5, AP weapon damage plus 50. Rampant Destroyer, which just gives him heroic killing blow. Unflinching Soldiers, which gives 10% of physical resistance for all Chaos Warrior, Chaos Knights, and Chosen units. Generally speaking, if you want to go with the Chaos Lord Khorne, you're probably going to go more on the humanity side of the Chaos. He does get Mark of Khorne, which gives him Deathbringer, which is base weapon damage plus 50%, and AP weapon damage plus 50% as well. And then Burning Brand, which gives him melee attack up to 8 for all allies in range, and is increased with each nearby entity death, and spell resistance plus 10% for the Lord's army in general. He does get a Chaos Steed, a Gore Beast Chariot. I'm not a big fan of the chariots in any of the Total War games, if you watch my content, but this one's actually halfway decent. He doesn't really get stuck because of how fat he is. He does get a Juggernaut, which I would say is easily his best mount. He does get natural flame attacks, and he's naturally has a bonus versus infantry, so he's pretty good at fighting against blobs as well. Next is Skull Taker, and he is the legendary lord of variant of the Herald of Khorne. I would say he's definitely an A tier, almost pushing to one-man army, and kind of the reason is, and I think it's a bug, he really performs better on foot than on his mount. He's extremely good at dueling. He can delete most characters. Doesn't have a shield though. He's a little bit faster, not as slow as the Chaos Lord. And he does okay in blobs. His just main weakness is range, really. Like, you could, even when you're going against multiple characters, he can generally come out on top too. Now let's just kind of take a quick peek at Skull Taker's model. I think they did a really good job with this model. I'm sorry, I'm just a sucker for Khorne. I'm just truly a sucker for him. Just kind of look at his mount. He does get three mounts here. I do want to just kind of take a quick peek at the Blood Throne. So for its mechanic, it gets melee attack plus 8, leadership plus 4 for all allies in range, and he does get Gore Feast on it. Once again, I don't really recommend it for putting it on your lord, so to say. But anyways, a look at his skill tree. He gets a standard, let's just call it a Khorne yellow line, standard red line, standard blue line. Obviously we just said he gets the Blood Throne. He does get a unique Juggernaut called Cool Tyrant. If I said that right, that'd be kind of nice. He does get Khorne's favor as well. So Khorne corruption plus 3 for local province, and bonus infantry plus 10%. And I forgot that there since their corner also racist towards Slaaneshi stuff. So melee attack plus 10 when fighting against Slaanesh, weapon strength plus 15% when fighting against Slaanesh factions. Weirdly enough, when I play Khorne, I actually hardly fight against Slaanesh. I don't know why, but they're usually not an enemy. You can kind of just look at his skills here. He does get a Bloody Onslaught, so Bloody Onslaught, jeez. Melee defense minus 24, armor minus 30 for one enemy, so this, as he is a dueling character, this will absolutely make him demolish most characters with just this one ability for 57 seconds. He does get Hellblade. He gets the Cloak of Skulls upgraded, which gives him 50% armor, or 50 armor, 40% missile resistance, and immune to flanking. He does get more than 40 kills, or it procs when he gets more than 40 kills. He does get the Wrath of Khorne, which is just explosions for spellcasters that cast magic near him, which is honestly really nice when you're fighting good spellcasters. Kill for core, melee attack plus 5, leadership plus 4 for all allies when he's in melee. He has Executioner, so he will execute units that are below 20% hit points threshold. This only applies to units, so it doesn't apply to characters. He has Unyielding Assault, which means his melee attack will never be reduced during a battle. Gets 20% physical resistance because he's demonic. And then for his trait, he does get a campaign movement range at 10%, line of sight 100%, frenzy for blood letters and exalted blood letter units, and then the bloody onslaught, which is horrifying that the blood letters get frenzy from him now. For him in particular, he does kind of lean towards more demonic recruitment stuff, so just kind of keep an eye on that. And then for his unique line, Bloody Onslaught, he does get a cash replenishment rate plus 10% for this Lord, hit points plus 10%, and then infatuation plus 50% for his ability. Ceaseless Determination replenishes 10% campaign movement range after winning a battle, figure loss reduction minus 33%, and speed plus 15%. Unyielding Terror, which is where he gets the Wrath of Khorne from. He causes terror and enemy leadership minus 5 for enemy armies in the region. Legacy of Blood, when winning a battle, local province is marked by Khorne for the next +1 turns, increasing corruption and slowing enemy armies. And he gets 2 Blood Host units on creation for all characters faction-wide. Champions of the Chosen, Demon Reforged chance is increased by 10% for blood letter units after a battle. Missile block chance plus 20% for blood letters and exalted blood letters, so they basically get like tier 1 shields. And then that's where he gets his passive for Kill for Khorne as well. He also gets Skull Master, which gives him Inevitable End. Contact Effect, which is minus 100% healing modifier, so regenning isn't really gonna be a problem for him. And then he also grabs the Executioner from this as well. I will say though, and I don't know if this is a blugger, if this is a bug or a feature, but I've noticed when he's on his unique Juggernaut mount, just throw him on there, for some odd reason he gets stuck more. He performs better on the ground than he does on his mount, but then you lose the speed from not him being on the mount, so it's really a toss-up. I don't know, I just noticed he gets stuck a lot in combat. And then his unique item is the Slayer Sword, which he gets the quest battle for his item at rank 14, which is just melee attack plus a weapon strength 15% and skulls gained from kills 15%, because that makes sense, that you get 15% more skull per skull. And then he gets the ability of the Slayer Sword, which has a weakened imbuement, which is just base weapon damage minus 25% and AP minus 25%, while he gets base weapon damage of 50%, AP 50%, and then melee attack plus 24. So when he's fighting a character that has no healing and it's weakened, on top of Bloody Onslaught, he just deletes people quite easily. Next on the list is Arbal the Undefeated, and he is basically the legendary Lord variant of the Chaos Lord of Khorne. Another A-tier character. He's kind of supposed to be a duelist, but I don't think he does it just as well as Skulltaker, but I think he does better fighting against like mass enemies, for instance. Extremely tanky. He does get a nice mount. And of course, we're going to take a peek at his model because, you know, I would do things to get a Khorne's attention. You know, really nice looking model. I definitely like the black, dark red shading they got going on here. He does get magical attacks. He gets Discouraged, which is minus 16% leadership for whoever he's fighting against. Armor piercing and bonuses for his infantry as well. He does have the Champions of the Blood God, which is global recruitment duration -1 for all units for him as an army. Weapon strength plus 10% for non-demonic units. Passive ability Hellblade for all warriors of chaos, pretty much. You know, chosen Chaos Knight Skulltakers. And then Gaze of Khorne, which is just explosion magic, which is magic damage as well. And to kind of start off with his mounts, like, so he's not on a mount right now. He gets 33 speed naturally, so he's really slow. He does have really high armor, and he's also higher levels, so kind of take that weapon strength just at a glance. But he does get a Fleshhound of Khorne. Not as good as a Juggernaut, but let me just put that back on. But he does get some really nice speed for it. Doesn't really take a too big of a hit on like melee defense, for instance, but he kind of wants to fight in a crowd. At least that's how he excels to me anyways. He is racist towards Slaanesh. He does get the Blood God's favor. He does get the Khorne version of the yellow line, so pretty much every point he puts into it, he does get weapon strength as well. Gets bloodthirst, which is just charge bonus, speed 25%, charge speed 25%, and Deathbringer as well. Standard red line, standard blue line. He does get the Eye of Khorne, which enables replenishment in foreign territory, which is very nice, but he's going to be doing a lot of traveling. Khorne Corruption +4, and Eye of the Khorne, which is just a... I'm trying to describe this ability best. So you take a weak enemy unit and it nukes them. They have to be below 20% health, but you get a unit of chaos spawn. And so the summon, they do degrade damage over time. But this doesn't work on characters. This only works on units. So a really good thing to use this on is like in the middle of your fighting line or on a unit that's like routing away. Because then you get spawn, which are unbreakable. Chaos Khorne spawn, which are unbreakable and have frenzy, and are just ridiculous. So really nice use of the really nice ability for him. Attack calls is Scourge here, melee defense 8, bonus for infantry +15% for rebels and carnage. Thirst for challenge, enemy battle reinforcement time +30% for his army, weapon strength 15%. And Thirst for Challenge, which is base weapon damage up to 25%, AP up to 25%, and melee defense up to 20 for each enemy entity in range. So like I said, he kind of wants to be in that blob. He does get devoted to the Blood God as well, so he does get another eye for Khorne, minus 50% cooldown for Gaze of Khorne, and then physical resistance 15%. Mortal Champion of Khorne, so devastating flanker for Chaos Knights, Skull Crusher units of Khorne. Expert charge defense for non-demonic infantry units for his army, and upkeep minus 15% for Chaos Warriors, Chosen Chaos Knights, Skull Crusher to Khorne for his army. And then he gets Unbreakable Host, which just makes things even more ridiculous for just like the basic Warriors of Chaos. He can cause terror, he gets Unbreakable. His non-demonic units that are ranked 7 or above gain Unbreakable. So if you have an army that's highly leveled, they're literally just gonna fight to the death if you just have non-demonic units. This does apply to like Minotaurs as well, which I don't think it should. It also applies to a Slaughter Brute, which is weird, but hey. And also the spawns of Khorne get double Unbreakable, so yeah. For his item, he does get the Destroyer of Khorne, melee attack +8, AP weapon damage 40, skulls gained from kills 10% for his Lord's army, and passive ability Devour Destroyer of Khorne, which is base weapon damage up to 25%, AP up to 25%, charge up to 20%, and melee attack up to 20. Effect increases intensity with each kill made by this unit, maximum of 150 kills, and then he gets Perfect Vigor. So, like I kind of said, this guy's not really meant as a duelist. He can do it, but he's meant more for his fighting in the swarm. Next is the Demon Prince of Khorne. Now, this unit actually isn't normally recruitable. The only way you can get him is if you level up a Chaos Lord of Khorne up to 15. And then you'll get the option that you keep him as a Chaos Lord or make him as a Demon Prince. So he's kind of a pain in the butt to get. He does fly. He is a little bit fatter. He does perform a little bit better in combat. I would say he is a little bit better. He just is extremely hard to get because it's not guaranteed he's going to get that dilemma at level 15. I had to get it at like 17 after doing some really silly stuff. So I don't know why. Getting the Exalted Bloodlusters is much easier than getting a Demon Prince of Khorne for some odd reason. At least for me anyways. Like I said, I had to do some funky stuff to get this guy. But, let's just take a look at that sexy model. Nothing too crazy. He is still considered a generic lord. So he does get flaming attacks, magical attacks, armor piercing, bonus for his infantry. He does get frenzy, or Does get 20% physical resistance because he's considered demonic now in nature. No mounts, obviously. He is the mount. If you can't tell, he can also fly. His wings actually work, unlike some other demon lord of Khorne. Now, just a heads up, when you do convert your Chaos Lord of Khorne to a demon prince, his levels do reset a little bit. So, like I said, I did level, I think, 17 with him, and he got back, I think, 9 levels. Sure. We're going to save 9 levels. So, anyways, he does get a standard yellow line, doesn't get the Khorne yellow line, which is kind of weird. Standard red line, standard blue line. Like, nothing really too crazy, sadly. Does get demonic onslaught, I guess. It's just charge bonus 60%, base weapon damage 25%, and AP plus 25%. He does get Hearts of Iron, so figure loss reduction minus 15%, Voice of the Dark Gods. He does get Wild Fury, which is weapon strength plus 15%, and passive ability Tempered Blade, which is damage resistance up to 20% for each kill made by this unit. Max is 100. He does get Deathbringer, and he does get the Paragon of Carnage. Like I said, he does perform a little bit better because he does fly. I would recommend you getting some anti-range stuff, though. Kind of a pick your flavor situation, but I think he does kind of do a little bit better overall. He does also get the Ascended Lord trait, so melee attack plus 12 and weapon strength plus 15% on top of that as well. Next is the Exalted Bloodthirster. In order to get him, you gotta take a Herald of Khorne, make him reach level 15. You'll get a dilemma to evolve him. And yeah. I think you get this one a lot easier. I would say he's probably better than the Demon Prince. I would say he's arguably actually probably better than Arbol as well. He's not. He can be a. This is actually a tough one. I'm gonna say he's behind Skulltaker. He can probably have potential to become a one-man army, but you really gotta build him the right way to do it. He does fly. He's really fat. He's pretty much, I would say, just a direct upgrade of the Heralds of Khorne. And this is what the Exalted Bloodthirster looks like. He's just Scarbrand, but can fly. He does do flaming attacks, magical attacks. He has a bonus versus large and armor piercing as well. And we just won't look at here. He's racist towards Slaanesh. He's the Blood God's figure. Standard Khorne yellow line, standard red line, standard blue line. He does get the Wrath of Khorne, which is a explosion for spellcasters that are near him. Apex Predator, which is what I use, which gives him that bonus versus large plus 20, as well as Colossal Strike, so weapon damage 25%, AP 25%, and bonus versus large 16, and immune to psychology for 32 seconds. You could also choose Wizard's Folly, which is attack causes a dampening effect, reducing spell resistance, and negates magical weapons within the area, and gives spellcasters a 50% miscast base chance in the local province. Or you can get Coward's Bane on top of that, and in which case you'll get 360-degree missile block as well 20% missile block chance, so it really helps him out when he's flying. So he does get like a basic shield, I guess. I just go for Apex Predator because it's more damage. Like if you're fighting against a lot of spellcasters, this is useful. If you're fighting like the elves, this is useful. I wish you could pick all three, but I guess he would be busted. He does get a Bellows of Fury, which is just a breath attack. He gets 3 of those, which is primarily explosion and fire. He can get the Titan of the Host, which is barrier hit points plus 500 for Khorne demon units. For his army and demon reforge, plus 15% chance for destroyed demons of Khorne units after battle. Legendary Foe, effect duration plus 100% for Bloodthirst and Deathbringer. And hit points was 20%. And then Crimson Wreath Terror, which is leadership minus 12 when leadership is wavering or lower, so it just makes him stay routed longer, I guess. I usually just go for the hit points, but you know, Titan of the Host is also really good as well. He does get Burning Rage, which is just a explosion. Pretty much when he's in combat, I would use it. Next is Scarbrand, Khorne's naughtiest bloodthirster, I guess is the best way to describe it. His wings are broken, so he can't fly anymore. But he's easily a one-man army, though. Easily. Like, you could take all the items off him, and he could still pretty much solo armies by himself. The only thing is he's really fast, so he's going to be weak to arrows, weak to artillery in particular as well. But you kind of have to build his direct counter to kill him too. He's extremely dangerous. He can plow through like your infantry line, so he can go dual characters if he wants to. I'm actually glad they fixed his animation, because at one point he couldn't actually hit units because his axes were missing, because he throws them point blank. So just look at Scarbrand. It looks like his wings are usable, but they're not. Basically, lore-wise, is Uncle Steen tricked him into stabbing his daddy in the back. His daddy didn't like that and bitch slapped him, which broke his wings and basically made him into what he is today in the Warhammer Fantasy universe. Not 40k. Don't get the two confused. Please, dear God, don't get those two confused. So he is the legendary Lord variant of the Bloodthirsters as well. He does get the Exiled one, so he gets Gore Feast for Bloodthirster and Soul Grinder units. I believe that's also including him as well. Yep, it is. Just making sure. So it gets regeneration when in combat. Upkeep minus 20% for Bloodthirster and Soul Grinder units. He gets 30% of skulls per skull per kill, and he gets Rage and Body, which makes all units rampage within a duration. He does get magical attacks, flaming attacks, bonus versus infantry, and armor piercing. Even though that should just be bonus versus all. He really doesn't care. He's racist towards Slaanesh, even though I think he should kind of hate Tzeentch a little bit more lore-wise. Blood God's figure. He does have Wrathful Reaper, which gives him base weapon damage plus 50%. AP weapon damage plus 50%, but puts him in the rampage as well. He has Bellows of Endless Fury, so he breathes fire. Rage Incarnate. Okay, yeah, Rage Incarnate, which is actually an upgrade of the Rage Embodied, so it just makes everybody rampage around him. He gets Frenzy, Gore Feast, fueled by Rage, so base weapon damage plus 25%, AP weapon damage plus 25% when hit points are less than 50. Revel and Slaughter, leadership plus 8, melee attack plus 8 for everybody in range. He gets Perfect Vigor. And he's a demon, so he gets 30% physical resistance because he's special. Maybe I probably got to do a trade. Let's just pretend it's 20%. Kind of a tip. What I would do with him is use Bells of Endless Fury, charge him in, use Rage Incarnate, and then use Wrathful Reaper. So everybody just goes berserk. It's a good time, trust me. So he gets Rage Incarnate as first level, which replaces Rage Embodied. Restless Fury, so he gets a 10% campaign movement range after winning a battle, speed plus 15%, and Vanguard deploy. Because yes, you want a Bloodthirster to be right on top of you with like almost 100 speed. Wrathful Reaper, which gives him a bonus for infantry plus 20 in that ability. Drinker of the Blood, which gives him the Gore Feast, income from post-battle loot 50%, and a battle healing cap of 25%. Anarchy of Madness, which is control minus 6 for the local enemy province, and Khorne corruption plus 4 for local province. And then he gets Frenzy as well from this. Possibly gets Frenzy from this, it just doesn't say it. Replenishes 15% campaign movement range after winning a battle, and Blood Host plus 3 units on creation, all characters faction wide. He does get the standard Khorne line. Khorne yellow line anyways. Standard red line, standard blue line. He does get a unique weapon called Slaughter and Carnage, which is income from post-battle loot plus 10%. Khorne corruption plus 5 for local province. Recruitment cost minus 10%. Melee attack plus 5. And AP weapon damage plus 100%, and then passive of Slaughter and Carnage, which is up to 100% base weapon damage, up to 100% AP damage. Intensity increases with each kill made by a unit, with a maximum of 300. Yeah. And did I mention he's really fast, so you can just plow through lines? Like, the only way to kill this guy is mass artillery or mass archers, and that's if he doesn't get items that reduces his missile block chance or missile resistance. Next, we are on the heroes of Khorne. The first one on the list is the Blood Reaper, which is basically like the Herald of Khorne variant of a hero. Extremely good at dueling. I would easily put him at B tier. I usually run like 2 or 3 of these guys, honestly, in an army. With Khorne, you can kind of hero stack and get away with it quite well. He is a little bit squishy, so if he gets stuck in a mob, he can kind of die with relative ease, so just kind of keep an eye on that. So just kind of look at his model, you know, he's nothing too fancy. Gets a nice long sword. He has magical attacks, flaming attacks, AP, bonus for the infantry. Since he's a mag, he does get apparently 30% physical resistance in this as well. He does get 2 mounts, so he does get the Blood Throne or the Juggernaut. If I am running multiples, I will put one on a Blood Throne because I love its animation, but generally the Juggernaut is the better of choices. He does get the Juggernaut first, then get the Blood Throne second, so just be aware that when he levels up, he might auto-equip that Blood Throne. If you don't want it, make sure you take it off. He gets a standard Khorne yell line for heroes, so, weapon strength for everything. He does get, Foe Seeker as well and Deadly Onslaught. He's racist towards Slaanesh, and much like the Lord version of the Blood Reaper, the Herald, he does have access to the same locusi as well. He does get a Champion's End, so Assassination Action, 15% succession rate, a Hero Action Success Chance plus 15% as well, so pretty much 30% for assassinations. Vigor Loss Reduction minus 50%. Scythe upon Chaff, hopefully I said that right. Bonus for infantry plus 10%, and then he gets the passive Hungering Blades as well. He does get, I think, Hellblade naturally. Or he can get the Icon of Slaughter, which is just like a fight or die melee attack plus 24, leadership plus 16 for all units in range, and leadership oral effect plus 5 as well. I generally go with these two. If I run multiple, I might go with the Locust of Wrath, but I don't really run with that personally. He can increase mobility, spread control, assault the garrison, assassinate, block army, and the standard specialist. Next on the list is the Cultist Accord. Pretty much another support Lord of Khorne. Does okay in combat, not particularly great. He does what he needs to. He does get a lot more summons than his Blood Speaker, which makes no sense because the Blood Speaker is the Lord variant of him. But yeah, I would say probably overall he's probably the weakest in combat. But I think his summons boost him up to C tier, so if you really don't use his summons, he probably a D tiered unit. You do use his summons, he is a C tier. Nothing too crazy here. Oh, actually, let me put this guy off the mount. Oh, there we go. So dismounted, he does get a nice 55% missile block chance. Not too crazy. I mean, he is relatively high level too, so I'm not going to look at these stats too carefully. He does get a Chaos Steed, which is most of the time you're going to keep him on that. He also gets the Chaos War Shrine, if we want to look at that really quickly. He does get base weapon damage up to 15%, armor piercing weapon damage up to 15%, and damage resistance up to 15% for all allies in range. It increases with nearby entity death, and then leadership plus 10 for everybody in range as well. Also, apparently gets ward save plus 5%. Don't know where that is coming from. No idea. Generally speaking, I would keep... Actually, I think I'd keep you on the Chaos War Shrine in this case. But he does get the Chaos D. Typically, you're going to keep him on this. He does get flaming attacks as well. But I kind of get one to put on the War Shrine because I definitely think the Giver of Furious Glory is really nice to have. Just kind of be aware the AI will try to nuke him because they don't like any support units at all, even if they're not relatively great. Looking at the poor Bretonnian shrine variant. He's racist towards Slanesh. He gets 3 uses of Gates of Khorne, so, which is just summon a unit of blood letters, which is really good. Honestly, you could kind of turn the tide of battle with 1 or 2. You just pop a blood letter behind the front line of them, and they can easily get 200 kills by themselves. He also gets a Greater Gate of Khorne, which gives him a Bloodthirster, which is pretty good, although I definitely think blood letters are much better. I mean, by the time he's a fatty and he's only around for a bit, anyways. It's great to have. I think Gate of Khorne is better overall. Standard yellow line, standard yellow line. I think there's anything unique here. Anyways, he can get Provocator, Tua, whatever. Campaign movement range plus 25% when not embedded, which is kind of meh. He does get a hero's action sex chance plus 10%. Symbols of Khorne, spread corruption by an additional 3, control -4 for local enemy province, and demon reforge plus 5% hit points for demons. It's demon reforge 5%. It's not a chance. I probably missed that already. War is prayer, so character aura leadership effect plus 5, passive ability kill for Khorne, which is giving everybody melee attack plus 5, leadership plus 4 in range, and then all the units get 15% more XP. You can get Men of the Hound, which is arm plus 10 for Marauders, Khorne, Skull Reapers, and Wrathmonger units. It gets the passive ability Rage, which I actually don't see Rage on you. Wait. That bugger feature. Whatever. Anyways, he supposedly gets the passive ability Rage. Physical resistance up to 10%, leadership up to 8, melee attack up to 5 for time spent in melee, and then he grants Rage for Marauders of Khorne, Marauders of Horsemen of Khorne units. It doesn't say if anybody else gets it, just kind of those units. So yeah, actually I don't even have it unlocked. Never mind, I'm just crazy. I'm like, wait a second. Wound action chance additional 10%, character experience per turn 200 for the company lord. Enemy hero action sex chance minus 10% for the company lord. I do get aspirant because you get killing blow and 50% effect duration for foe seeker and deadly onslaught, and character experience gain plus 100%. You can replenish troops, which is very important because Khorne has replenishment problems. You can spread corruption, damage walls, wound, hinder replenishment, and specialist. Next is the Exalted Hero of Khorne. Pretty much the human version of the Blood Reaper. It's a solid B tier unit. Really tanky, kind of slow. Gets a halfway decent amount though. Nothing too crazy. It's just Khorne units just hit really hard. So kind of just to look at him in general, he's basically a armored berserker. So he has no missile block. That's flaming attacks, a bonus for infantry, and has that AP. So generally speaking, I think he does better in a swarm. Although he is actually halfway decent duelist as well. This guy's max level, so we're not going to really pay attention to the stats too much. He does get a Chaos Steed, a Gore Beast Chariot, and a Juggernaut, which I would put him on the Juggernaut for obvious reasons. Just gives him buffs across the board. Infernal Champion, so weapon strength plus 10%. Standard yellow line. He can get Chaos Gladiator, which has melee attack plus 5. AP weapon damage plus 50, bonus versus infantry plus 5. Or Chaos Commander, which you get the standard die, melee defense plus 24, leadership plus 16. I generally like to kind of make my Exalted Heroes be fighters instead of supports. You can get Chaos Strategist as well, casualty replenishment rate plus 5% for the hero's army, and then unit experience gain is increased by additional 20. Obviously, you have to choose one or the other, which kind of sucks. He can get Hellblade, weapon strength plus 10%. Raging Stalwart, so ward save plus 5%, and the spell resistance plus 10% for the hero's army. Like I said, I kind of have him be more of a fighter. That ward save is really nice. And then Brutal Ritualist, which is just Khorne Corruption +2 for local province, which is kind of meh. Especially when it locks out the other two, like kind of a weak skill. He does get training, spread control, assault garrison, assassinate, assault units, and specialist trait as well. He also gets Berserker for some odd reason. Why do you get that? Who knows? Next is a Khorne's bestest boy. That's Karak, however you say it. He is the legendary three-headed doggo. And that's the best way I can describe him. I'm gonna say probably a low B tiered. The reason is he's kind of squishy. He's supposed to be a duelist, and he has abilities that make him be an okay duelist. Except when he kind of fights by himself, he kind of struggles. Because if he gets blobbed up, he kind of gets stuck. He's not a particularly big doggo, despite having 3 heads. He also has summoning doggos, which is really nice as well. He's an okay B tier. Still better than cultist, in my opinion. So we're just gonna take a look at this guy's model. Absolutely fantastic. He does get the Manifestation of Vengeance, recruitment cost by 10% for Chaos Warhounds and Fleshhounds of Khorne, leadership +6 for Warhounds and Chaos Hounds of Khorne. He does get Wounded Prey, so it's melee defense -5, figure per second +1% for his target, made magical attacks, bonus versus large for some odd reason. He does get a unique talisman, which is the Brass Collar of Bloody Vengeance, which is leadership aura size +25%, spell resistance 25. And then he gets a Hex for passive ability, which is just silence and negates magical weapons within the effect area. He doesn't like Slaanesh favored prey, so ward save 5% when fighting against Slaanesh. Once again, I don't fight Slaanesh a lot. It's kind of weird. Double experience gain for units when fighting against Slaanesh. Once again, most of the time they won't declare war on you. He does get Gore Feast, so he gets regeneration when he's in combat. He gets Locus of Fury, so gets juices everybody up around him. So be fighting him with a pack of doggos, which I think is how you're supposed to use him. They can be really scary. Talon of the Skull Throne, melee attack +8 when attacking, passive ability, which gives him up to 50% base weapon damage, up to 50% armor piercing, and up to 40% melee attack for each enemy unit in range with leadership wavering or lower. Realistically, you're not going to really see this that well in a fight. And, he does more damage if he's chasing, basically routing units. I don't personally see this that useful. He gets Seasoned Hunter, so hit points +10%, and immune to contact effects, which is really nice. He does get bonus to large here, +10, armor piercing weapon damage +30. And then Mind Prowler, which causes terror, and leadership -4 for the local region. Endless Hunter, which is just a reveals a unit within range, and wound recovery time -1 turn. The Scent of the Prey, enemy hero action success chance -15%. Tunneling intercepting chances +20% for the Company Lord, and cooldown -20% for Prey of the Blood God, which is just a damage per second, and the unit can't move. It's kind of a weak damage per second. You're really just using it for them not to run away. Ruthless Pursuer, hero action cost -12%, and additional 8% success chance for assassinations. You can get Perfect Vigor, another hero action success chance +10%, and hero self-defense chance is increased by 15% for aggressors. Or 15% chance of wounding aggressors. He does get Karak's Howl, which allows him to summon Fleshhounds, which do degrade over time, and then gives his doggo brethren 5% physical resistance. Alpha Hound, upkeep -10% for all doggos in his army, and in stock for the doggos in his army. Beastal Chorus gets another. So he gets another use of the summon, and then he gets recruit rank +2 for the doggos. And Path Prowler, accompanying movement range plus 10% for the Lord, a Stalk, and a Devastating Flanker. And then the standard yellow line, or Khorne yellow line, I should say. And then Scouting, you can scout, assassinate assault units, assault garrison, spread control, and a specialist. The next one, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he is Skyla. He is the legendary hero of Beasts of Khorne. Not Chaos Spawn. Don't get him confused. I would say he's easily an A tier legendary hero because he's really tanky and he can really mess up the front line. He's a little bit smaller, so he's gonna be a little bit harder to shoot, but he does stand taller, so he's he can still be shot, just not easily. So yeah, just the Chaos Beast of Khorne, which are legendary hero of Chaos Beast of Khorne. He does get the talent of Khorne to upkeep minus 25% for Minotaur, Spawn, and Blood Beasts of Khorne. And then he gets the Serpentine Tail, which is just a damage per second when in melee. And then his unique talisman is the Brass Collar of Khorne, which is just an armor plus 15 passive ability for it, as well as damage resistance up to 20% and spell resistance up to 15% for each kill made by a unit, which is a max of 100, spell resistance plus 10% for the own army, and missile resistance plus 10% for his own army. So he kind of helps Scarbrand out actually quite nicely with that. He does get Disorganized, so leadership minus 6, removes charge defense versus large, and removes expert charge defense. He has a armor piercing and bonus for symmetry as well. And I believe he's naturally unbreakable as well, which is really nice to have. Races towards Slaanesh. He has a unique yellow line kill for Khorne, which is just physical resistance plus 15% and immune to contact effects. Rampant Ruination, assault garrison, additional 25% casualty inflicted. Assault units, additional 25% casualties inflicted, and base movement range plus 50% when not embedded. Most of the time you're going to want them embedded anyways. Rapid Rage, weapon strength plus 15%, bonus for infantry plus 12, and Fueled by Rage, which gives him more weapon damage and more armor piercing weapon damage when the hit points is less than 50%. He can cause terror, enemy leadership minus 4, and he has a cooldown minus 50% for kill Khorne, which is just explosion and causes them to rampage. Although I don't know if that's a rampage for himself. You can't really tell when there's a lot of rampaging going on with a Scarbrand. Bloodthirsty Charge, Glorious Charge for Minotaurs, Spawn of Khorne, and Blood Beast of Khorne units, which just gives them double the charge bonus, and then enemy units take a leadership penalty as if they've been attacked in the flank, which doesn't really matter in this game. Our Total War games, most weird charges in a route. Charge bonus plus 25% for everybody mentioned as well. And then he gets Gore Feast, and then gets that Disorganized as well, so he does get a nice heal, and he gets a yellow line of Khorne, a Khorne yellow line, whatever you want to call it. Training, he can train, spread corruption, assault garrison, assassinate assault units, and a specialist. Like, his skill tree isn't as crazy as Karnak's, but he is just such a good fighter. A good blob fighter, I should say. Not really that great of a duelist, but definitely a really good blob fighter. Next is Scar Bloodwrath. And Bloodwrath, yeah. So he's I don't know if I would classify him as a Minotaur, but he has Minotaur legs. Another character that I think he's probably tied in terms of strength with Skulltaker, and the reason is that it's almost impossible to kill this guy. He has the Phoenix ability without the chance of self-dying at all. He also gets like bonus healing, and is just a ridiculous person to fight against. To kind of look at his model, like I said, I don't think he's technically a Minotaur. He is another legendary character, if I didn't say that already. The Undying Champion, which is a perfect name for him, which is a passive ability, is the Blood Tally, which increases the healing modifier up to 50% for each kill made. And he gets Bloodborne, which is the he gets 30% heal per second for 1 second, when the hit points hit less than 25% with a cooldown of 2 minutes. So, like, and then he gets a physical resistance plus 10% for Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers in his army. So, you basically want to throw him in there. Mind you, he gets if he has this, let's say 50%. So technically speaking, he can get, was it 30% heal per second if this is maxed out. If for 2 minutes or for a 2 minute cooldown, so you can get 55%, up to 55% of his health, right? If it procs at 25%. So he's not dying. You will this guy down, he's just gonna come back and be a little bit more annoyed. He does get the Bloodstorm Blades, so missile block chance plus 35%, weapon strength plus 10%, bonus of infantry plus 15, and then he gets the Bloodstorm Blades ability, which is weapon strength plus 75, armor piercing weapon damage plus 75%, bonus for infantry plus 16 for 35 seconds. Yep, so you know the missile block there, magical attacks, sundered, so minus 30 armor, bonus for infantry, and armor piercing. Yeah, like this guy is both a duelist and a mob fighter. It's ridiculous. He's racist towards Slanesh, obviously. He does get Roam the Waste, so campaign movement range plus 10% for his own army, figure loss reduction minus 50% for his own army, speed plus 10% for his own army. Reborn and Slaughter, wound recovery time minus 4 turns. Like if you do knock him out, he's going to be back in, I think, like, was it like 1 turn? So he's basically a on Karstein, but I don't know, probably equal in scary levels. Physical resistance plus 10%, and then he gets Hellblade. Murder Lust, so he gets the additional battle healing cap of 50%. He gets 25% more skull per skull. And he gets 2 more uses of Bloodborne, so you can get 3 uses of it. Although I would say probably by the 3rd use, you're probably not going to get too much from that battle healing cap. Unless you get like regenning stuff, you're probably not going to see Bloodborne by the 3rd use anyways. Blunt Instrument, melee attack plus 5, melee defense plus 5, weapon strength plus 15. Leader of the Scarmore, so armor plus 15% for Marauders of Khorne, Skull Reapers, Wrathmongers units. And then Rage for them as well, and then minus 50% upkeep for them as well, for his army. And I have the Bloodstorm, so armor piercing weapon damage is 40. He gets Berserk, which is 2 stages. So stage 1 gets up to 20% physical resistance, up to 13% melee attack, which takes 70 seconds. And stage 2, he gets another 20% physical resistance and 13 melee attack, but then he rampages for 20 seconds. Now, I don't know if this, because it says duration's infinite, so I don't know if once you hit stage 2, I don't remember, because usually, like, the battles, usually he's off doing his own thing, so, like, he's fine, but I don't remember if he staged and rampages for the rest of the fight. I don't think he does. I think Berserk resets when he gets out of combat. He also causes terror because he's not terrifying enough. He does get a standard Khorne yellow line, and scouting, assassinate, block army, steal tech, spread control, and he gets a specialist. Now let me just point out, this guy is level 1, and his stats are disgusting. Besides, like, him not having any items or any traits or anything. So just keep that in mind. Like, this is level 1 Scar. This is kind of an honorable mention because she is considered on the roster of Khorne, but she belongs to Warriors of Chaos. So, and that's Khorne's waifu, Valkyria the Bloody. I'm not going to go over her skill tree because when we do Warriors of Chaos tier list, she will be involved. But she is gonna be a one-man army quite easily. And the reason why she's a one-man army is that she flies very fast. She's a very small target. She has decent missile block. She hits almost as hard as Scarbrand, I would argue. And she does really good when she's swarmed as well. Like, there's really no way to counter her. The best counter I've had to play against her is you make a character stack yourself and you just rotate characters out when she starts attacking one. That's the only way to beat her. Or you can army loss her. Good luck with that because she's going to kill everything on the battlefield before you have the chance to army loss her. And that is my Heroes and Lords tier list of Khorne. Just kind of like summarized to the tier list overall. Khorne has a lot of really heavy hitters, and they do really well when they fight with each other. I think that's kind of one thing you see towards late game of a AI Khorne is that they'll just stack characters at one point because it's actually cheaper as well, like upkeep reasons, way cheaper. But of course, if you guys have any disagreements of where any of these characters should be or why they should be in other places, let me know in the comments below. I would love to discuss that with you guys. And of course, if you have a suggestion what tier list we do next in the future, please let me know as well, so I can start working on that. And hopefully the game not bug out and never give me my Demon Prince of Khorne. And of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe for notifications when I go live, upload a video, or do any other shenanigans on YouTube, because YouTube's not notifying anybody when I do said shenanigans on YouTube.